Welcome back to Friday 13th YouTube channel Metalheads. Today I've got a fantastic album review for you. This is by a Danish band called Manticora. Now Manticora have just released a new album called Mycelium, which is released on Mighty Music. This is a fantastic heavy metal album. Check it out, Metalheads. Now Manticora were originally formed back in 1996 by vocalist Lars F. Larsen on vocals. We'd also have Kristian Larsen on guitars, along with the original bass player Casper Graham, Stefan Johnson on guitars, and Lawrence Dimmu on drums. Now, this band have played with some very good progressive metal bands and power metal bands in the Danish scene and the international scene. The band released their first EP in 1997. It was called Dead End Solution. This was followed by the band's debut album in 1999 called Roots of Eternity. And this album was released on Greek label Black Lotus Records. The band's debut successful album was followed up by the band's second album released in 2001. This was called Darkness with Tales to Tell. This was released on Italian label Scarlet Records. And this was followed by the band's next album called Hyperion, released in 2002, also for the same label Scarlet. In 2004, the band released their next album called Eight Deadly Sins. This was released for German label Massacre Records. The band have released 8 previous albums and doing fantastically well. As you can tell, the band have released some fantastic albums of previous, and they're still producing powerful progressive power metal albums. This new album, however, does have a darker side to it, which I'm going to talk to you about very shortly. And so the current lineup for this new album would be Lars F. Larsen on vocals. We'd also have Kristian Larsen on guitars. We'd have Stefan Johansson on guitars and Casper Graham on bass guitar. So that's the lineup for the new album. Now I'm going to tell you what the song titles are for this new album. So we've got 10 songs in total. We have Winter Solstice, which is an intro. This was followed by Necropolitans, Demon Day, Angel of the Spring, Gollum Spradens, Mycelium, Beast of the Fall, Equium, Metamorphosis, and Gaia de Lotus Motorius. That's the songs for this album. The album was produced by the band, and the mastering and mixing was done by the one and only Jacob Hansen. Now, we all know Jacob Hansen is one of the best producers out there, especially in Denmark and Scandinavia. He's a fantastic producer, done some great bands of the past, and still going for some brilliant albums of today. So check out this album, folks. He's got a fantastic production. In the early stages of Manticora's career, the music would come across between Iced Earth and Blind Guardian. As we all know, they moved away from the Iced Earth vibe, but kept some of the Blind Guardian elements. This new album, however, does have elements of Blind Guardian, but it's also dark and heavier. In places, it does have a slight hint of some black metal elements, but don't let that put you off, folks. It's still a strong progressive power metal album, as I'm going to explain. The vocals by Lars would kind of remind me a little bit on this new album of Terence from Eldritch, a band from Italy. He's kind of gone for that approach in his vocal style in certain places. The opening track, Necropolitans, is a fantastic song. It's a really heavy slap in the face song, as I explained before. It's very heavy, very melodic, but it does have some heavy death metal elements. But it's still a powerful song. Please don't let that put you off. It's still Manticora, but they've just gone for a slightly heavier edge on this new album. Nothing wrong with that, because the music's fantastic. In places, this song kind of reminds me a little bit of another Danish band called Paramaze. So you've got that progressive elements that Paramaze done with the Manticora power metal progressive elements with a darker edge, like I said before. I guess you could say there's dark, heavy elements of Nevermore. So if you're a fan of Nevermore, especially the later albums that Nevermore did, this is a song that you really need to check out. In fact, it's an album that you really need to hear. Now, the next song, Demon Day, is a very heavy song in places. If you're a fan of Arch Enemy, riffing and guitar, and you really enjoy it. And it does have some dark elements of black metal, especially Dimmu Borgir. This really works well in favour of this song, but Doomsday is a fantastic song, mixing a nice blend of progressive power metal with darker black metal elements and some thrash moments. The guitar solos on this song, either by Kristian or Stefan, are fantastic. They very much remind me of Jeff Loomis from Arch Enemy and Nevermore. Brilliant guitar playing indeed. Next up is a song called Angel of the Spring. This is a semi-ballad. It's got some really great vocals here by Lars. Kind of reminds me of folk metal vocals, but it really does fit well. It does have some heavy elements, of course. I guess you could say for the slow ballady elements, it does have a little slight of Opeth in there. This album does have a detuned guitar sound and darker elements. It's a very heavy album, but it's still very melodic in places. Take it for what it is, folks. It's still Manticora. These guys have moved on from the early stages of their career. They've gone for a detuned, heavier sound. I really like this album. I'm going to give this album 4.5 out of 5. I think the production's fantastic. The songs are really well structured and it's well worth checking out. If you've not heard this new album by Manticora, it's called Mycelium and it's released on Mighty Music. Check it out, Metalheads. Thanks for watching. My interview's coming soon.